One of my clients asked me to make a video about seeing angel numbers, and I am like, sure thing, I got you. I am not a numerology expert by any means, but I have lots of opinions on truly anything. Ask me a question, I will formulate an opinion right then and there. Mercury is the first planet in my first house. Anyways, before I talk about angel numbers, and if you're not familiar with angel numbers, those are repeating numbers that you will see pop up: 1111, 222, 444. What does it mean? People use it all the time, especially in their tarot readings and their channeled messages. These numbers pop up, people throw them out at you like you're supposed to know what it all means. Before I share my opinions on angel numbers, I do think we need to approach this topic from a logical perspective first. I like to use logic in everything I do because it really grounds me in my spiritual practice. And when we're doing that, we need to talk about the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, which is also called frequency illusion. The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon refers to the false impression that something happens more frequently than it actually does. This often occurs when we learn something new. Suddenly, this new thing seems to appear more frequently, when in reality, it's only our awareness of it that has increased. This is also referred to as frequency bias. It is a cognitive bias referring to the tendency to notice something more often after noticing it for the first time, leading to the belief that it has an increased frequency of occurrences. And if this is your first time encountering this, you're going to encounter this a lot more in the next coming weeks, because that's how it works. Basically, if you learn a new fun fact or you learn a new song, let's say it's a song that's not new, but it's new to you. It's a song from the 80s. It's been out for decades, and you just learned about it, and you're like, oh my God, this song is actually really cool. I like this song. And then suddenly you hear it everywhere. The fact is that it has always been everywhere. Your awareness around it has changed, and so now you notice it more frequently. Why is this important when talking about angel numbers? Because angel numbers are everywhere, and they have been everywhere, constantly. It's just your awareness around them has shifted to the point where suddenly you're seeing the same number constantly. Your awareness around it has shifted. And this is important because I am a firm believer of the fact that signs are constantly everywhere. Guidance is constantly everywhere. And the only thing that shifts is your awareness and your attention to those signs. Understanding frequency bias is important because it explains the how. But when it comes to spiritual messaging and guidance around signs that you receive and that your awareness starts to pick up, what's more important is the why. We focus so much on the why, and especially when we are in a state of spiritual awakening and we talk to people that aren't on the same page as us, we start talking about these things that we're seeing, angel numbers, signs that we're receiving, and then they throw things like that in our face because that is logic. They will tell you that is just frequency bias. And this is why I'm telling you this, so you can make sense of these spiritual things that are popping up for you in a grounded way, because the how does not influence the why. The how does not change the why. Imagine going to a movie theater for the first time, and no one has ever explained to you how a movie theater works. And you're sitting there and you're seeing images on the screen and you're seeing this light beam and you're like, what? You want to know, how is this working? Okay, maybe you learned how it works. You realize that there's a projector and it beams light, okay? Okay, we got it figured out, we got the how. But that doesn't change the why, and the why is the artistry of making movies. That doesn't take away from the impact of a super intense drama that brings you to tears. You're not going to sit there and say, well, that doesn't affect me emotionally because I understand how they did that. I understand how they did that. That's not impressive at all. But that's how people react when you start talking about angel numbers. That's why I'm trying to prep you for this, because people will be like, okay, and first of all, when you start noticing things like repeating numbers, you're gonna want to share it because you're gonna think like, wait, is it just me? Like, look. And when you don't get that resonance from people around you or your friends, your family, it can be such a downer. It can be such a bummer. But the thing is that they receive their own signs. You need to pay attention to the signs that you're receiving because those are meant for you. And you don't have to share them. It's beautiful when you get to share them with a friend that understands and that is just excited. But if you don't have that, that doesn't take away from the why. So once you've brought awareness to the repetition of a specific number, you're going to see it more often because your eyes and your brain are incredible machines that pick up way more information that you can actually consciously process. So in a lot of situations, you're seeing angel numbers that subconsciously you've already processed, and then you bring your awareness to it. That is the how. That doesn't change the. So why are you seeing angel numbers? Your subconscious and your intuition are like two peas in a pod. They're not quite the same, but they get along quite well. And when you are subconsciously scanning the information around you, and your intuition is like, we need to tell them to do that one thing that they've been saying that they were going to do. Your subconscious is like, oh, there's a 222 over there. Does that help? And your intuition is like, yes, go, go, go. And then your awareness goes, vroom, 222. Oh, that's weird. That's how it works. Why? You need to build a language with your intuition. The why is going to depend on the situation that you are in life, on whether you've been asking for guidance, whether you've been asking for signs. And then that's not even getting into the numerology of it because, yes, different numbers hold different meaning. And here's a quick tip on how to fight your way through all of that. When you are first seeing angel numbers, it gets so overwhelming. If you don't want to sit down and study numerology and try to come up with meanings on your own, Google it. The thing is that there are millions of articles and there are millions of interpretations of angel numbers. The way I first started interpreting angel numbers when I had awareness around them is I would Google it, and the first thing on the Google page, the first thing that caught my eye, that would be the interpretation that I would read and that I would accept as a message. Because you can read the first 5 that come up and they all have different meanings. So I would just, whichever one caught my eye first, I felt that's where I was guided to go and that's where I was supposed to receive my message. However, in time, through my spiritual awakening, I've come to have a much closer relationship with my own intuition. So when I see a specific angel number, I usually don't feel the need to look up the meaning anymore. When I see certain numbers, I will just think like, what does that number make me feel like? What do I think of? I will correlate it to any information that I have in this data bank. Because I have a lot, and you do too. Whether you've studied numerology or not, you know how numbers make you feel. You may have studied tarot. You know the numbers that are linked to the tarot. There are so many things that you can draw correlation and meaning from without having to look up meaning that someone else came up with. So when it comes to deciphering what an angel number is trying to tell you, it really comes down to how are you feeling in the moment when you are seeing it? Do you have an established connection to that number? Are you seeking out messages? Is spirit trying to just desperately get your attention with anything? Because then it could just be a grab for attention of watch out, look, how are you feeling? What's going on right now? Are you being aware of yourself and your surroundings? Are you aware of the choices that you are making? And then, of course, when you layer that with knowledge around numerology, which is incredibly impactful, you layer that all together, you will get to a point where you'll see an angel number and you'll go, got it, okay, got you. loud and clear, heard you. And then you get to a point where you don't even see angel numbers anymore. And then it's like, where have those suckers been? Something's. Because that's the thing. Sometimes if you see a bunch of numbers, it's, yes, you're on the right path. Sometimes when you see a bunch of numbers, it's, are you sure you're on the right path? And it comes down to, what are you feeling? Nobody else can tell you what the meaning is. The point is to bring awareness to the occurrence. And lastly, please, please, please do your own research around numerology. There are lots and lots of people that are very highly educated around numerology. I am not one of them, so I cannot teach you numerology. I can only tell you how I became comfortable with the language around angel numbers. And there are times where I don't see them and I don't need them. And then there are times where I ask for a sign and they're right back there, because what shifts is my awareness. They're always there. Signs are always around us. But my need for them is what varies. And when my need for them varies, my attention towards them varies as well. And those are my opinions on angel numbers. Thanks for coming to this very long TED Talk.